Welcome to day 1771 of, that's 1771, I know, crazy, day of What's She Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey, primarily as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. 2017, I found myself divorced and had divested myself of all my assets and businesses with my ex-husband and was looking for something to do. And I was like, all right, I could retire, but I don't really want to retire yet. Always been curious about the internet. Let's check it out and see what we can learn. So in 2017, I joined the ClickFunnels certification program to learn about the online world. And like so many others, I was pulled down many rabbit holes along the way of my online journey. And finally, I'm settling into what works for me, what I like, what are my strengths and my areas of expertise. And a lot of that involves sharing content and sharing things with other people. For one of my groups, I share an idiom every day for Supersize Your Business. We talk about a different idiom and how does it relate to, or how could it relate to, growing and building and supersizing your business. And the whole purpose of it is to increase our vocabulary, add new words and new ways of describing things, new ways of feeling and understanding, because the more things we understand, the more different ways and perspectives we have of looking at the world and looking at our business in different situations, the faster and easier it is to grow and build and supersize our business. We don't get mired into the details of what things mean. We just use it as an invitation to ask ourselves, well, what does this mean to me and my business and what I'm trying to create in the world? And sometimes, guess what? There's idioms that have nothing to do with you or your business or me and my business. Some of them are just plain goofy, but it's still good to know, because if somebody comes up and uses one on you in a discussion, you at least have a clue of what they're talking about. So always good things. So I do that. And beginning of this year, I decided that I was going to use and share an idiom for the Supersize Your Business group that was related to this year's annual challenge. This year's annual challenge is called the BU 365-Day Challenge. This is my 5th year in a row of sharing my annual challenge online. I've been doing annual challenges, and I've been doing challenges my whole life because I've had a lot of challenging things happen in my life and I needed to find ways to overcome them. But since the pandemic, first off in 2020 and 2021, every other month I was sharing something called the SOAP framework, which is my way of dealing with challenges and change and obstacles and roadblocks and setbacks and things that have happened in my life. And I learned, especially in 2020, that I needed to apply that process on purpose. I needed to have the best process for me. I needed to apply it on purpose and use it to keep me moving forward in a time when, let's be honest, the vast majority of people on the planet stopped or were in a holding pattern, or they were in an essential industry and they were working their butts off, right? Well, the rest of us were home or doing other things, or hopefully not watching the news and media, but that was the intention, and that's what a lot of people were doing. And we're just beginning to see the ramifications and the negative impacts of that whole, I'm going to call it an episode. Some people call it a pandemic. I don't know. That sounds a little bit conspiratorial to me, but I think that the more we open our minds and think for ourselves and listen and observe what's actually going on versus what things like the media and social media are trying to pretend and tell us are going on, the less afraid we are. We can stand up and be ourselves and know that, guess what? There's always crazies and evil junk going on in the world, but we don't have to choose to participate in it. So today, our idiom and expression is garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out happens to be an idiom. It's been in the English language. It's been around since the 20th century. It's first applied to computer programming and mathematics, and it's used a lot. You know, if you have garbage inputs in a process, you're going to get garbage outputs in that same process. And as a decades-long manufacturer, I totally understand that. If the quality of the raw materials or your equipment or any input is subpar or low quality, it's not going to produce high-quality products. It's impossible. It's the same with us. What we put into ourselves, including junk food or coffee or alcohol or drugs, comes out. And that includes, by the way, pharmaceutical drugs and injections and things that our doctors recommend to us actually aren't always in our own best interest. Shocker, I know. You mean somebody might be thinking about and having ulterior motives or reasons for doing something to you? Absolutely. Hate to be the bubble burster of the reality TV shows. Did that to some girls once in one of my businesses, and they were devastated to find out that a reality TV show was scripted and not just automatic reactions in real life. And I'm like, okay, whatever, girls. Sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's true. Everybody has their own agenda, right? And sometimes it's good for us, sometimes it's not. It's up to us to always discern and decide what's right for us and what's not. It's not anyone else's responsibility but our own. We have to, how many times have I said this year? Think for ourselves, make our own choices and decisions, and then be responsible for those choices and decisions. Are we going to make mistakes? Yes, absolutely we're going to make mistakes. But we're the only one that can learn from those mistakes, right? Well, that's not true. We can share and other people can learn from our mistakes too. That's part of why I publish and why I show up and why I talk about things that I've done and haven't done and things that have bombed and not worked that I was sure were going to change my world. And they ended up just being a crash and burn example. That's why I share those, because then you can learn from my mistakes and don't make the same mistakes I've made. Guess what? We all have the opportunity to make all kinds of mistakes on our own. We don't need to make the ones that other people have shown us are silly and frivolous and the wrong way to go, right? That's why I like modeling and having coaches and mastermind groups, because they help me to get better and become a better version of myself. So garbage in, garbage out. Great idiom. Also the topic for today's challenge, because so often I've learned that what I listen to, what I read, who I hang around with, what my interests are, the groups I'm a part of, all of that impacts me and influences me. And the cool thing is I get to pick and choose what I want to be influenced by, or the world will pick for me, right? If I'm not setting goals, I'm helping other people fulfill their goals, because the world doesn't, and the universe doesn't like a vacuum. If I'm not doing something, then someone else is more than happy to have me do it or do the things that advance their life and their world. It's why I finally left corporate America. It's like I was, working 70, 80 hours a week to make the corporations very, very, very wealthy. And I made a good salary, but it wasn't enough to justify the things I was giving up in terms of my family and my life and my owning my own time for the money that I was exchanging for that. The value wasn't equal, right? It wasn't equal. So that's why I learned that I wanted to strike out on my own. All right, that's all I've got today. I broke my ring light, so it's going to be interesting to see what my videos look like for the next few weeks while I'm traveling. Thought about getting a new one. I don't think I'm going to bother. I actually have a spare at home, and I thought about packing it, but I thought if I pack it, I will break one of my ring lights, because that's, Murphy's Law. But it's still Murphy's Law. I still broke it, but I'll just be a little dark for the next few weeks. If I can help you in any way, please ask. You can always direct message me here or Google search me, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom, or sometimes you can find me as Pajama Grandma and get my contact information. Or it's not so secret because I share it a lot. My Voxer handle, and Voxer is an app on my phone that I love to use, is pajamagrandma@gmail.com. All right, if I can help you anyway, ask. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Don't put garbage in if you don't want garbage out. All right, bye.